Watch Wolf, which is a weird card to be passionate about.
Well, at the time,
it was a big deal.
How is this fair?
It was a big. Hey, I know you're. I know the zoo deck you're working on. You're looking for a 2-drop.
Watch Wolf. I said haste, and I said good.
Okay, well, good is subjective. Haste is not. Haste is not. Gataxian Probe will show you Jim's hand. 2 Swords of Plowshares, a Path to Exile. Council's Judgment, Brainstorm, and an Island. The best I've got for you is Riptide Crasher, and I'm thinking that's probably not good enough for you. I'm not. Oh, Flint Boar, talk to me.
Oh, yeah, big hooves.
Doesn't start with haste immediately, but we could play the boar.
It's going to be a work in progress.
Work on that a little later in the room.
Yeah.
Scalding Tarn, going to bring Sukenik down to 17. If anybody's got any 2-mana haste creatures for a modern zoo deck, we're in the market.
But not Hellspark Elemental, something that stays in play.
Not that, yeah, that's important.
Yep.
And it can't be Riptide Crasher because he'll give you a dirty look.
Yep. Also true.
Here's a Ponder. Jim's going to scoop up his hand now. Drake, wow. What's happening in this top 8? Drake Sasser wins his match over lands 2-0 with Grixis Delver. Okay. Well, lands is done. Noah Walker, our best Grixis Delver player probably on the circuit, is done. Anything can happen here in Worcester.
Sergio Garcia to the stage, please. Sergio Garcia to the stage.
Sukenik really thinking about this Ponder. All right, he's going to keep it. Misty Rainforest to draw. He'll pass the turn back over to Davis. He's already got an idea of what Davis is working with, just doesn't know the top card of his deck. Mystery opponent, mystery seat. There's Jim. An island to pass the turn back. Misty Rainforest and Sukenik. So no early pressure. Jim not going to play his Brainstorm yet. Picked up a copy of Jace. Now he might be forced to.
Counter it.
He'll just pass the turn.
Counter it. Well, Davis doesn't want to cast it right now. 1, because Sukenik's not doing anything, and 2, because he knows Sukenik will counter it.
Yeah. Yeah. Does not want to get Brainstorm locked either, though he might not really have much of a choice. So Sukenik's going to sacrifice the Misty Rainforest to get himself an Underground Sea. He'll shuffle and present over to Jim Davis here in just a moment. We'll see how Sukenik wants to move forward. Again, Sukenik saw Davis's hand with Gataxian Probe. 2 cards he doesn't know, excuse me. Jace the Mind Sculptor, Monastery Mentor, which both stink right now. Sukenik with a Deathrite Shaman. It's a powerful magic card. Davis will draw a card. Is it land number 2? Nah, it's Council's Judgment number 2. Is it time?
Counter it.
Yep. All right, here's Brainstorm.
No.
It's gonna. What do you think? What do you think, Sukenik? It's gonna be a Pyroblast. All right, back over to Sukenik we go. He'll draw a card very far ahead. Oh boy. Oh boy.
I'm waiting on that Cabal Therapy. I'll let Jim discard a hand size first.
Yeah?
We'll get to that later. I guess you can just get his plows out
He's
there.
got so many duplicates.
He's got 2?
Yeah.
He's got 2. Okay, fine. Fine.
I could make him discard potentially 4 cards this turn. Let's see what this is going to be. Does he have a Young Pyromancer?
Oh, then this is not close. Yeah, go to work.
It's game. That is game.
So,
Swords and Council's Judgments to the bin. Now he's got 2 Council's Judgments, a Monastery Mentor, a Path, and a Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Might even just take the Path here. He needs to draw double running white sources to be able to cast the Council's Judgment.
I'd let him have the Path.
It doesn't matter. Anything you take out of this hand is good.
Yeah. He's going to take the Path. Wow, much more disciplined than me. I want to make him discard 4 cards.
So on
not
one
3.
hand, Council's Judgment is 2 cards because there's 2 of them. Other hand, it's 0 cards because it's not remotely castable.
Yeah, it's fair. Here's an attack for 3. Jim drew a predict. Do you want to make any predictions on who's going to win this game?
I like Sukenik to win.
Jim's going to draw another card. Ah, yes, Tundra.
Just enough to keep playing.
That's right. He'll play that confidently. Pass the turn back over to Sukenik, who's got a sizable lead in this game. Davis, we believe, had the mulligan. Took him a long time to draw that second land, and now Cabal Therapy is on the loose. This is a lightning bolt going upstairs. And also going to fight Sukenik with a beautiful Dylan Donegan token. And now a Deathrite Shaman activation to drain Jim for 2. Sukenik will untap. And he'll take a draw step. Slow roll himself a little before drawing another Cabal Therapy. Sure.
See, now you wipe up those Council's Judgment.
I got you. I got you. Here's Cabal Therapy. Yeah. See, I know a lot of our viewers weren't around when Cabal Therapy was standard legal.
Yeah.
It's a good card.
Yes, it was.
It's a good card. It's going to go away now. Those Council's Judgment. And now the
Legacy Classic
we'll have a
players
prediction
at time in the round.
in response.
Player, please finish the current turn and proceed to the 5 additional
Spell
turns.
Pierce that. Okay.
Once again, Legacy Classic players.
And then Monastery Mentor.
It is really shocking to see someone have no lands and no hands.
Yes. Sukenik showed Jim Force of Will on a blue card. It's like, even if you build Terminus, you're dead.
Yeah.
We're all set here.
Moving along.
Yes. Jonathan Sukenik going to win game number 2 here in decisive fashion over Jim Davis. Grixis Delver, Miracles. They're going to get ready for game number 3. We're going to get ready for game 3. You're going to get ready for game 3, but it's going to be about 120 seconds. See you back here in just a minute. We are back, getting ready here for game number 3 between Jonathan Sukenik and Jim Davis. It's Grixis Delver on the left, Miracles on the right. We'll take a look at Davis' sideboard. Since he'll be on the play here for G3, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Surgical Extraction, 2 Disenchant, 2 Vendilion Click, 2 Containment Priest and Search for his Kanta, another copy of Council's Judgment, something else from the discard to Cabal Therapy, along with the Rest in Peace into Caracas.
Jim gets most of his work done game 1, as we mentioned before. I think the Council's Judgment and the 2 copies of Vendilion Click are the most obvious ones to bring in. He could bring in the extra Search for his Kanta. The Flusterstorms aren't the worst, but I think he'll be sideboarding pretty light here, as his main deck's very well suited for this matchup.
It'll be 3 Cabal Therapy, which we know are in Sukenik's deck, along with 3 Pyroblast, 2 Surgical Extraction, an Ancient Grudge, and a Braid. A Dead Gone, a Flusterstorm, Dismember, Marsh Casualties, and the very powerful Pithing Needle.
So the Cabal Therapies and the Pyroblast, unsurprisingly, we saw. I think the Pithing Needle likely comes in as an answer to Jace amongst a couple other cards. We saw Benjamin Nikolic bring in his copies of Surgical Extraction. I don't know if Sukenik's going to do the same thing. I would err towards not bringing it in, but I think it's a close call.
Well, those are the options there for both players. Game number 3 about to be underway as they shuffle up, and I know Patrick's a big fan of the pile shuffle here by Jonathan Sukenik. Let's talk hasty 2-drop, shall we?
I need something from a modern zoo deck.
Your thoughts on Nest Robber?
Probably not good enough.
Are you sure? 2/1 haste, easy to cast, colorless in there, and
Yep.
creature type dinosaur.
I think this is probably short.
Okay, I'm going to go over to Lightning Mauler now then. Teams up well with other creatures.
Still too bad by a lot, but closer. We're getting close. This at least has a power.
Okay. He's not into that. Your thoughts on, I know you've cast this one a decent amount, Ash Zealot.
Too bad.
Red, I believe haste and first strike. Means it's good in combat. Whenever player plays a Lingering Souls from the graveyard, you get to ding him.
Yeah, that has never happened. I've had this card in my sideboard multiple times. What happens is it gets bolted, and then they Snapcaster Bolt your other thing.
Okay.
And then you're dead.
Well, I got one final one here from Twitter. Not sure how often you've played this one, but our good friend Jund Hackblade.
I don't know what this is.
Oh, don't worry, we do. Jund Hackblade, if we can bring that up. Oh, yeah.
As long as you control another multi... Nope, don't have any. Don't have any. Don't have any. How many colors is Kurt Ape?
That'll be one.
Wild Nikado.
That'll be one, technically.
Monastery Swiftspear.
Still one.
Goblin Guide.
That's one.
All right.
All right. Well, okay. That solves that. Teams up very well with Tattermunge Maniac, your old boy.
Yep.
The Munch.
Yep.
Both these players take a look at their opening hands now. Neither of these players have any of those cards in their deck.
Nope.
Amateurs. Hackblade wasn't that bad. It's not
No,
good. It's not good.
if all your 1-drops were gold, I think it would be. You could consider it.
All right. I can't actually think of any other 2-mana haste threats.
Yeah.
I do think Riftline Crasher's the best of the bunch.
I'm just going to end up playing Eidolon again.
Yeah, probably.
That's how it's going to go.
That was a pretty good high five from the two of them.
Yeah.
What are they so happy about? Jim having a land? Here's a Ponder. We'll see Jim take a look at the top 3 here in just a moment as we're in game number 3. Our last game of the quarterfinals. Other matches have been decided. Ben Fine-Gersh is through with Elves. Jeffrey Weisser with Grixis Delver, as is Drake Sasser with Grixis Delver. Drake Sasser going to play the winner of this match.
Nick Rocknose, if you are not in a match, please come up to the stage. Nick Rocknose to the stage if you are not in a match.
Gataxian Probe. It's going to show you a hand here of Counterspell, Jason Mind Sculptor, Ponder, and a couple of lands there for Jim Davis. Can't forget about the Monastery Mentor as well. That's the way Jim's been winning most of his games this weekend. The lands are Misty Rainforest and Windswept Heath. Oh, he got more good 2-drops coming in. Yeah. Twitter killing it right now. So Earthshaker Kenra, too bad.
No,
Okay.
we're closer.
Okay, all right.
We're closer.
All right. Now we're talking. Sukenik going to sacrifice a polluted Delta. Going to fall down to 17. He's going to search up the land.
Last round pairings have been posted. Please find your seat so we can begin.
I'm sure you've cast this one a lot. Slith Firewalker?
Yeah.
It's a little too far below the bar.
Too bad.
Yeah, too bad.
Too bad.
Don't think it would even be good if Chrome Mox was legal.
Yeah. I think I could do something better with Chromox.
There he is. There he is. The old Firewalker. Here's a Ponder for Sukenik. He'll take a look at a couple of cards. We'll see where he's going to put those.
I hate this card.
Ponder?
Yeah. It's so much time shaved out.
Just lets it out finally.
I am exhausted watching this.
You were pondering in your last Legacy tournament.
Yep.
You
And
were
I
just-
hated that too. I hated it then too.
We're going to go to Jim. He'll very quickly play Mr. Rainforest pass the turn back. I hate this card. It's great.
I hate this card.
Delver of Secrets the draw.
It's like, can we just get on with the game? Can we cast cards that impact the board or
Nope.
the zone somehow?
Nope.
Or is it just idly manipulating our draw steps for the first 7 turns?
That's Jim's whole deck.
I know.
Here's the Cabal Therapy.
But at least his deck is trying to play a million turns, you know? Sukenik's beating down.
It's true.
So you believe you are in the top 8 or alive for the top 8. When you finish this round, bring your deck to the judge area. Modern players.
Ooh, I like this. So when you don't have a brainstorm, you act like you have a brainstorm, and then you say, that resolves. So that
Yeah,
they
and
name
then
brainstorm.
Sukenik just names some card that he knows is here.
They say, all right, I'm not going to name brainstorm.
Yeah.
All right, Jim says it resolves.
Oh my.
What did he name? What did he name? Monastery Mentor. Right, he knows his hand because of probe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why. Yeah.
Right. I like the posturing anyway. I appreciate it. Supreme Verdict, Jace, Counterspell, Ponder, Windswept Heath. That's the grip for Jim Davis.
Turbo draft of the evening. If you'd like to
Sukenik will sacrifice a Scalding Tarn. While he works on that, another 2-drop real quick here, Patrick. Ceradon Yearling.
in addition, the start
Ceradon Yearling.
Is that the 2/2 haste vigilance?
You tell me.
I think that's what it does. I don't know for sure. Too bad.
That's too bad?
Definitely.
Magic players.
Little bull?
Bonus points if it can survive in combat with Snapcaster Mage.
Ooh, that one does not fit the bill. Okay. Here's Delver of Secrets.
The Star City Games prize
Yeah, it's 2/2 haste vigilance for red-white. It's not good. Jim is considering counterspell, potentially. I liked for a moment there both their hands were folded. Is Jim going to make a move? He's considering it. Okay. Okay. People are coming in. People are coming in hot with these 2 drops. This is great. Spike Jester.
That's good. Spike Jester.
Oh no!
So the problem is it's got to be Naya. But Spike
Okay.
Jester's at least like thinking about things.
Okay,
That's a good answer.
All right. All right. Ah, yes.
Look at that.
Little angry goblin warrior.
Yeah. That's trying. That suggestion at least requires some thought.
Back to Jim we go as he counterspells the Delver of Secrets. Picked up an island for his turn. And now he's going to play Patrick's favorite card. Portent's Scalding Tarn.
Ooh.
Brainstorm.
Let's look at 2 cantrips and a land that lets me shuffle my deck. And a lot to consider here. A lot of ways to add 1.3 percentage points to my draw steps over time. Lot to think about. Lot to think about.
Jim is moving and grooving here.
Yeah,
though.
that was good. All right, that was fine.
That was a fast
fine.
ponder for Jim Davis. Oh yeah. He'll keep it on top. He'll
That
draw,
was fine.
He'll draw a Portent.
I don't mind that.
I know where that Portent would be going. He's even going to shuffle away the other ones. There you go. There you go. Basic Plains might be on the way. There it is.
Players who are called to the top 8, please proceed to table number 300.
It'll be time to Portent now.
21 match points, Ethan Formicella.
I mean, you should just Portent. I'd Portent Sukenik right now. Just get after him. He's going to Portent himself. Though.
In 3rd place with 21 points, Zach Turgan.
We'll see with the top 3 cards here for Jim in just a moment. You seem totally fine with Portent. It's Ponder.
It's power level and ubiquity. That's the big thing.
Okay. Jace, Swords, and probably and Snapcaster Mage. Okay.
Yeah. Snapcaster Mage allows you to do one of these things again.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And 8th place, William Moore.
Porton's going to resolve. Slow trip. Jim's turn is over, and now he would like to draw his card on Sukenik's turn because that's what Porton makes you do. Over to John we go. John's drawn a Misty Rainforest. He's got a Spell Pierce, Pyroblast, Brainstorm. Those are just some of the cards in his hand.
A lot of defense here, but no threats.
He'll just play a Polluted Delta, not a Scalding Tarn. Pass the turn back. Over to Jim. He'll draw a Snapcaster Mage. Now, one thing Jim has to contend with as he plays these games against Sukenik is the fact that Sukenik has 3 Pyroblasts after sideboard. Those are real clean answers to Jace.
Yep.
At this time, they will be finalized and unable to be changed in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, the mixture, it's kind of a paralyzing combination because Pyroblast is so good if you're just trying to cast stuff. And if you're trying to sit back and set something up, then Cabal Therapy is awesome. It's a really powerful pair.
That is a Snapcaster Mage that gets countered by a Pyroblast. Sukenik says, enough with the cantripping. Sukenik draws an Underground Sea.
And now I think his hand has enough extra lands in it that it can be improved via Brainstorm and a Shuffle. So we're going to see him do it.
Spell Pierce is 1. Tropical Island is 2. Gurmag Angler is 3.
Your draft is ready to begin. Please get your way.
So Sukenik, of course, going to put a couple of these cards back. We'll see him fetch with the Polluted Delta soon enough and make it a nice little Brainstorm.
Your event is ready to begin.
Oh, baby. Oh, boy. Wow, Sukenik is fetching. Can we get Ember Eye Wolf on the screen?
Oh, that card's a dealer. That card is a dealer.
Ember Dash Eye.
Wildly underrated in its draft format. Good on 2, good on 12. Oh, I'm looking. Yeah. Yeah, that card's a dealer.
That thing's giving beats in his
Good
drop.
against Jace. You tap out for Jace. That thing's just it's the same amount of mana. It's the same. It's even on mana, and you have your wolf to show for it after it's done. What do you want to do? Want to tap and unsummon it? It's just right back in the mix.
Gurmag Angler is going to join the battlefield here. See if Jim's actually going to fire off Swords of Plowshares now or untap first. It would be wise for him to untap first.
Yeah,
because of Spell Pierce.
Don't want to play in a Spell Pierce.
Well, he knows that. Remember, Jim's first open win in Indianapolis 2 years ago in Legacy with Saltai Delver. I remember it well. So he's pretty well versed in this format. This top eight's no accident, that's for sure. Former Players Champion, too. Now he's cleared Swords it if he'd like.
Yeah, the question is, at some point, do you just sort of have to push through the first Jace and swallow up whatever counter you get hit by to try to get the second one through? It is a little bit inefficient to only use 1 mana this turn when you have a bunch of 4s in your hand, but I think this is the safer play.
Well, Swords is going to work there. We're going to head back over to John now.
Legacy Classic players, an incorrect result entry was brought to our attention. A new set of final standings will be posted.
There's a Gataxian Probe for 2 life. Sukenik's going to fall down a little bit lower. You see Supreme Verdict, double Jace.
Keep in mind those therapies in the yard.
Can't forget them. Pyroblast, Spell Pierce, that's in hand. Jace is going to have a real tough time resolving this game, and Sukenik will just pass the turn back.
Yeah, I wonder if Davis is going to throw one of them out there just because with the therapy in the graveyard and his hand known, there's not a whole lot to be gained by waiting.
Pretty sure you have to. Just because if a creature like Young Pyromancer does show up, it's bad news. So Jace will bite it via Spell Pierce, Force of Will to draw there for Sukenik. I'm going to settle in, folks. We're in for a little bit of a long one here as Davis will draw a card. He picked up a Plains. You might see him cast another Jace. This time he can play around Spell Pierce too.
Well, there's less of a rush to play the second Jace because you don't mind trading the Cabal Therapy with 1 Jace. You definitely mind trading it with 2. So you got the first one out there. You're traded with something else. There's no pressure to necessarily do something right now.
Well, Jim says, I'm casting this thing. Pyroblast is going to take care of it. So 2 Jaces down here for Jim Davis. I think he's only got 1 more to work with as we're going to head over to Sukenik, who's drawing Tropical Island. He won't play that, hoping to draw a Brainstorm perhaps, as Davis will draw a card past the turn back. I think we might be in store for a little of this action now, folks.
Yep.
A little draw go. Not sure who it favors, honestly.
Well, Jim's deck in theory is the more powerful one, but I don't actually know how much he has left in his deck to power through a spot like this.
Exactly. Flusterstorm the draw there for Sukenik. You know, it really does revolve around a card like Monastery Mentor. Something like Vendilion Click, I suppose, isn't so bad. Brainstorm the draw, always good. No fetch land yet for Jim, though, and no real rush. A couple copies of Lightning Bolt here for John. And Davis will draw. We are in a stalemate. Oh, there's another Jace. Well, better hold on that one tight.
Yeah, that's his last copy in the deck.
Sukenik has found Young Pyromancer. And this is where things could spiral. Here is Young Pyromancer. It's a great test spell. Also turns on the Cabal Therapy in Sukenik's graveyard. Here is Lightning Bolt. That'll go upstairs to Jim Davis to bring along an elemental token via the Pyromancer. Curious to see what Jim wants to do here. Does he want to brainstorm a response? Does he just want to let this happen? He obviously has a little bit of fear about the Cabal Therapy in the graveyard.
So there's an argument for brainstorming now here. So if you think that Sukenik is just going to go ahead and flash back the Cabal Therapy to keep the stack a little bit lower so your brainstorm doesn't get flusterstormed?
Well, Swords is going to go after Young Pyromancer with Lightning Bolt on the stack. Keep in mind, this is the 3rd spell that's been played this turn, in case we work ourselves into the Flusterstorm area of the game.
Yeah, question now is if Sukenik wants to fire up the other Lightning Bolt here to get a token. I think the answer is no. He wants to hold on to that other bolt as a hedge against Jace or Monastery Mentor.
So Swords will work, take care of the Young Pyromancer. Sukenik's hand still pretty full of permission. Force of Will, Flusterstorm. I believe another copy of Spell Pierce. We can't forget that Lightning Bolt either for John. For Jim, he'll untap a Plains. He'll take a draw step. Again, remember, he's clutching a Jace right now. He now has a Brainstorm, too. 2 of those, in fact, but no fetch to go along with it. And looks like he's going to lead off with a Brainstorm. That'll resolve for Davis, who's got plenty of fetch lands in his deck. He doesn't have one right now, but he has drawn a Flooded Strand, so he can put some garbage away and shuffle it away. There's always the benefit of old Brainstorm plus fetch. Jim will now just pass the turn back. We'll head over to Sukenik once again.
And now Sukenik, you can see the problem with his deck as he enters the mid-game. He's got a lot of soft counters that get bad if Davis is making his land drops. Could really use a Brainstorm to smooth that out. Because the Dazes, the Spell Pierces, it's going to be hard to convert them.
Davis is going to sacrifice the fetch land. Pretty predictable thing there. Just deciding what land he wants to go get. Could be time for the Tundra, but he'll just get a basic island. Important to remember, only 1 Jace left for Jim, and that's how he does win a lot of his games, or at least pull very far ahead, to the point where the opponent's draw steps become borderline meaningless. Now we're going to go back over to Jim, who has picked up a Plains. I think Jim's savvy enough to know that this Jace chances of this thing resolving very low.
Yeah, right now I think he's contemplating whether or not he wants to brainstorm, because the line here is, if I brainstorm into something that helps me push through the Jace, am I willing to cast it? If the answer is yes, go ahead and brainstorm. If the answer is no, wait for a fetch land or some other bit of information to improve.
Jim down to 11 now. Sukenik did draw a copy of Deathrite Shaman. Keep in mind that John knows that Jim has a Supreme Verdict in his hand.
Yeah, no rush to play a second threat. If Davis is willing to play the game like this, you whittle him down a little bit, get him into bolt range. If you're ready to deploy multiple threats in the same turn, then you flash back the therapy in your graveyard off the elemental, name Supreme Verdict, and then deploy multiple threats. But for the time being, you're happy if Jim's taking a point of damage and not doing anything, and there's no reason to change that state of affairs.
And Jim will just pass back once again. Sukenik will draw another fetch land. In for one. Let's see what we have here. It's a ponder. All right. Well, that's a starting point for Davis.
Players are fourth and final round pairings have been posted at the gathering point. Please make your way to your seats again.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see him lead off here. Terminus, Ponder, Mentor. All right, those are real cards.
Good allotment of cards here. Wouldn't surprise me if he took the cantrip with the intent of terminusing next turn. And then trying to go to Mentor.
All right, he's actually going to draw Mentor. Ponder's going to be third one down. Terminus will be the next one up as we head over to Sukenik. Young Pyromancer the draw here for John.
This might be enough for Sukenik to make a move.
It's the best draw in a lot of spots like this.
Yeah. Well, the therapy in the graveyard lets him maybe break this open a little bit.
Sukenik definitely surveying the battlefield right now. The attack was the easy part. Does he want to deploy Young Pyromancer on this turn? Use some of his mana. Looks like he will.
I think with Davis setting all three cards on top off of that Ponder,
Yeah,
you got to feel like you got to move a little bit here. You're running out of time to be patient.
Young Pyromancer is going to resolve, and now he's going to flash back Cabal Therapy. Now, I presume the name here, if this resolves, is Supreme Verdict, but there's no guarantee of that.
Yep, he knows about it, and it matters right now. So.
This is an attempt at a brainstorm, it looks like. Yup. That'll resolve. Jim's going to reveal Terminus here. So they're going to resolve. It's been a minute since we've seen this.
Yeah.
Which basically he's drawing it on his own turn with Brainstorm. So that's 1, 2, 3. He's got to put 2 cards back and finish resolving his Brainstorm, and then he's going to obviously cast Terminus. Looks like he's going to put Supreme Verdict back.
Well, he needs to cover the Supreme Verdict from the Cabal Therapy in the event that the Terminus doesn't resolve.
Now here is Terminus. Miracle Trigger, of course. He's going to have to pay the white for that. As long as Miracle Trigger resolves, he'll have to pay the white because no stifle or anything.
So how many spells are we up to on this turn? Young Pyromancer, Cabal Therapy, Brainstorm, Terminus?
That's what it looks like. There's your wife for Terminus. So players resolving things accordingly.
I suppose you can bolt in response and then Flusterstorm to get it past Davis's 5 mana.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're down your bolt, which you might want later.
This is the fight.
Yeah.
Here's a Daze.
Pretty much free to use the Daze in this spot since it's not going to do anything else.
It's a blue card to toss away to force a will.
I think Sukenik's hand is flush with some soft counters. And now I expect this to be Flusterstorm.
I'm going to count a bunch of spells here.
Yeah. Young Pyromancer, Cabal Therapy, Lightning Bolt, Brainstorm, Daze, Terminus. It's for a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Flusterstorm, Daze Therapy.
It's for 6 or 7, I
Terminus,
think.
Brainstorm, Young Pyromancer, Flusterstorm. Yep. Okay. And Lightning Bolt.
Yeah.
So I think Storm count should be 7, not 6. Because Lightning Bolt is... Actually, no, Lightning Bolt did not get the party started. Cabal Therapy did. Cabal Therapy did. Yeah. Yep. 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's
Storm
way
6. That's Storm 6. It's easy to count.
Yes. Way too much to pay for with Jim's available 4 mana.
Mm-hmm. So he could Flusterstorm back.
Yeah, but it's hard to Flusterstorm back because you have to target the targets, and some of them you let go, and some of them you pay for. I guess if you Flusterstorm back, then you have John can pay for 3, and then you can pay for 3.
Or you can just do this because you know you're going to be finding a Supreme Verdict soon.
Jim doesn't need to have a battle over this. He can just let this go.
Now, what's interesting about this is Cabal Therapy still needs to resolve. I think that's still a thing that that happens on this turn. Because the Brainstorm was in response to Cabal Therapy. All right, so what did he name? He named Supreme Verdict. Okay. Now, Jim has done a nice job of hiding cards. Jace is his draw step. Verdict is the card underneath it.
Yeah.
And so he can ponder into the Verdict and cast it and catch back up. Interesting. This also does a really nice job of getting by. Oh, he's going to play Deathrite. Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah, because he's seen it, the Supreme Verdict from an earlier Cabal Therapy.
Yeah.
Taxium Probe.
Now, the only way this kind of makes sense to me is if he's going to, like, if he thinks, I don't know, like, if he thinks that Jim is so savvy that he would put Supreme Verdict the second one down and try to counter his Ponder?
Yeah, he's got to be willing. I mean, that line makes sense if he's willing to fight over the Ponder. I mean, if we, okay.
Which I can't imagine he's going to counter a Ponder. Port and Swords, Supreme Verdict. He's clearly taking Supreme Verdict and casting it.
Yeah.
See, I am a little surprised to see Deathrite Shaman show up that turn for Sukenik.
Right. I mean, I think that if you're going to do it, you have to fight over the cantrip as bad as it is.
Yeah. Unless Sukenik has some sort of unexpected answer to Supreme Verdict. Jim will play a Plains. This will allow him to cast Verdict. Yep, so that's going to wipe away everything. And I don't think Jace is going. I don't think that Jace will be deployed this turn.
Yeah, I mean, he could play the Mentor if he wanted to, but
I don't hate Mentor this turn. With Flusterstorm backup?
yeah, it's not bad. I mean, if Sukenik has a bolt, he untaps and bolts it, but that's not the worst thing.
He's going to force it. Wow. Okay. Do you like fighting over this?
If he was willing to force, I'm kind of willing to Flusterstorm. I don't know how much better it's going to get than this.
Yeah, I kind of like a Flusterstorm here, too. If he's using a force, that opens up your Jace a little bit, too.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back over to Jean.
I guess he just wants to win the fight over Jace next turn.
He just drew a force will.
I just don't know how much better your Flusterstorm's getting. Although I guess if you know you're drawing Portent, that's 1 for the Storm count.
Yeah,
then
yeah,
Jace is 2. Then
Yep.
3. You know, and Sukenik's only got so much mana to work with, so.
Let's go over to Jim. Jim is drawing Portent. Now he's got swords within that top 3 as well, so sword should be his next draw. Now Jim's pretty safe around a Force of Will. That is hard cast.
Yeah.
And he's just going to wait. Brainstorm the draw here for Sukenik.
Yeah, I like waiting here because if you get Sukenik to play a creature, then you get to plow and Portent and then cast your Jace, and then your Flusterstorm is basically a hard counter in any sort of counter war.
Deathrite, Delver, Deathrite. Sukenik's got to put 2 back. It looks like he's going to put Bolt and Fetch back. Monastery Mentors, I think 2 have been taken care of. And I think Jim only plays 2.
Still got the Jace.
Okay. Maybe he sideboard in some number of some of those clicks.
That also
maybe.
might be a reason that Jim's being a little cautious here with the Jace. It is, I think, his last. I guess he can win Snapcaster Mages, but
Yeah, that's
he
true.
is running out of cards that win the game easily.
Nick Miller, a interested onlooker. Couple of Deathrite Shamans here. Jim going to draw Swords of Plowshares this turn. Yep. The top cards for Zek are mystery now. Important, of course, is Slow Trip. Jim's going to go reaching.
Yeah, I like opening up on Portent here because if you see Terminus in your top 3, you just pass and Terminus him on his turn.
Predict. Predict.
Yes.
Brainstorm. Wow. Jim furrows his brow a little bit there. Yeah. It's Jace's spell 2. Yeah. Sukenik says, okay. What are we going to do with this Jace? I like Fate Sealing a lot. I think his top card's a Bolt. And I want to put that to the bottom personally. And now I think I'm happy to Swords a Deathrite.
Yeah, I mean, you know that your next draw steps is going to be just some cantrips for a little bit here. So if you're not getting everything with the Terminus, no reason to let him on tap with any of these.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Deathrite's taking care of via Swords. You're going to gain a little bit of life, of course. Ultimately, that does not matter. And we know that Jim will be drawing Predict on the Slow Trip from Portent. He says, you go. Sukenik will sacrifice a fetch land. Doesn't have a ton of lands left, right?
He's out of fetchable lands.
Okay. Shuffle that Lightning Bolt back into the deck. Active Deathrite Shaman coming up. But Jim has finally gotten a Jace's stick. As we work ourselves into the 65th minute of this match. Slow Trip's going to happen. Predict is added to the grip. Sukenik will draw another copy of Force of Will to go along Force of Will and Delver. Here is Delver. It's funny, I know the two cards that Jim looked at in Predict and Brainstorm. I don't remember what order he set them in.
I think he went Predict. I think the top card of his deck is a Predict.
Okay.
I wouldn't know for sure.
See if he remembers. There's 65 minutes into this match, almost 66.
But at this point,
he didn't write it down.
I don't know if Sukenik can actually fight over these sort of card drawing spells, because once the Jace is on the battlefield, I mean,
He gets to see as many cards he wants.
He's not at a shortage of looking at cards.
You got a force here? Eh. All right. Jim's probably cool with this. I mean, Jim's got a Flusher Storm in his hand, so.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. If he wants to fight that bad, let that go.
Pretty much. All right. Sukenik's out of cards. Davis has got the active Jace. I believe he just picked up a Predict, and he's going to name Brainstorm. See you later. 2 cards coming. Council's Judgment Terminus. That's what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, I think this Terminus should be. If Jim casts the Terminus here, I think that might be the game.
I think so too. As here is a Brainstorm activation from Jace. Snapcaster Mage from Dillian Click in there as well. He's found some goodies to win with. And now Davis is starting to move into the driver's seat of this game. Things were bumpy for a while. And he's got to put 2 cards back, of course. But I think he's doing pretty darn good now.
Yeah, with that Terminus draw, I actually thought it's possible that Davis would start fade sealing Sukenik this turn.
Same.
But in any event, I think from here, this game can't really be lost.
Sukenik is going to activate Death Ray Shaman to bring Davis down to 7. But now for Sukenik, he's going to have to draw really, really well. And I'm not even sure what really well looks like here when there's a Jace on the battlefield.
Right. I think we honestly might have hit. Sukenik could stack his deck from here and not be able to win. Davis's hand is so loaded, and the Jace cuts off so many draws.
Sukenik will draw a card. It'll be a Brainstorm. It's going to have to be a good one, too. Cabal Therapy, Brainstorm, Cabal Therapy. Earlier, that would have been really good. Right now, not so much.
Yeah.
This new take on Miracle, somewhat impressive, folks. No counterbalance, no top. Top gone for obvious reasons. Counterbalance, not great without its artifact. Here's another Brainstorm. Therapy what? Scalding Tarn. Blech. As you can see, Brainstorm a lot less good when you don't have a bunch of cards in your hand. There's Scalding Tarn. Jim's going to untap that whole swath of lands. He's going to sacrifice a fetch land, I believe. He's going to check to make sure he's got fetchable lands, of course.
Yeah, he's got 9 basics and a Tundra.
Oh. He's pretty sure he's got something left here. There's that Tundra. Falls down to 6. Double bolt range, of course, which is always a little bit scary. But the one thing that Jim does get to do is start fate sealing if he'd like.
He also has Snapcaster plus Plow in the graveyard to gain 2 should it come to it.
He'll Brainstorm. Terminus, Swords, Path. Well, creatures are a no-go now for John Sukenik. And burn spells are going to be a tough way to do it, too. Terminus and Path are going to go back on top of the deck. I think we might get a little action on the draw step here, Peace Sully. Might be saying a little V-click here in a minute.
And Sukenik just shuffling away the therapies because right now he needs to find cards that are proactive. None of them are good enough. Sukenik doesn't necessarily know that, but the reactive cards, the ship has sailed.
V-click in the draw step. And we were a little bit worried about if Davis had ways to win. But with Snapcaster V-click and a Jace hanging out here, looks like Sukenik picked up a copy of Surgical Extraction. You can see the surgical extraction that John is looking at.
I would imagine Jim will let you keep that.
I think so too.
And I guess there's an argument that it mucks up the Snapcaster Mage, but it is, I think it's just a dead draw.
I think it's a pretty low leverage draw.
I wouldn't touch it, I don't think.
Yeah, and Jim feels the same way. Also, Sukenik doesn't have to, or Davis doesn't have to make much move with Snapcaster anyway. And I'm curious to see if Davis is going to start Fate Sealing. He's going to keep brainstorming. Terminus, another V-Click, another copy of Flusterstorm. And those cards will go back here in just a moment. Terminus is going to go back on top first. In for 3. Sukenik's going to fall down to 14. We go over to John now, who's got a surgical extraction in hand. He picked up, I believe, a Misty Rainforest. He'll pass the turn back. Here's Snapcaster Mage. And Jim's saying, I dare you to use that surgical extraction.
Yeah, flashback predict here, and if he wants to surgical your predicts, who cares?
By all means. The target is predict. Look at you. Look at you. King of predict over here. I think he's going to predict away a Terminus now. Goodbye. V-Click and something else will be added to Jim's hand now. Not to mention, as he picked up a Scalding Tarn, he's going to untap those tapped permanents, draw for his turn. Windswept Teeth, he gets to even use Jace a little bit more. There's the attack for 5 first. You're kind of going to fall down to 9. Fate Seal time. He's going to leave that card on top. Tarn the land there for Davis as he's at 6. Let's go back over to Sukenik now, who's drawing a Deathrite Shaman, and yeah, Jim's happy to leave that on top. That couldn't matter any less.
Sukenik here might be considering surgicaling the Swords to Plowshares and hoping that he can get the Deathrite to stick, and then all he has to do is battle his way through 7 straight unsummons in the best case.
That is best case. You see Davis.
If he's running hotter than the sun, all he has to do is beat 7 unsummons.
Yeah, there's a Fate Seal. One of my favorite things about watching Jim, we've watched him so much over the years, is that when he's actually, we'll use the term, turn the corner.
Right.
He does pick it up pretty fast, which is untap, draw, attack, let's go. You know, he knows that he can get things over with. He's very thoughtful until that point. So you kind of got to fall down to 3, get a free fetch here. And this could be John Sukenik's last draw step here of the tournament, of which it's been a very good one. He's been the #1 overall seed basically the entire weekend. Grixis Delver has been very good for him, but not good enough, as Jim Davis is going to win this match over John Sukenik 2-1. Miracle's going to move on, knocking out Grixis Delver.